Hey guys, subscribe for daily content, and if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks!
What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got 5 extremely cool knives that you may or may not know about. I feel like a lot of these people are not gonna know about, so I'm really excited to share this with you today. Links will be down in the description. Not all of this stuff is available, but I will link it. We've got price ranges all over the place, so don't expect everything to be super cheap, but I do have some fun stuff to share with you guys. Thanks so much to my patrons for supporting me. And please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. We're going to be moving quickly here. First off, something I feel like is going under the radar, or off the radar. Why am I brain farting on the way to say that? This is not on everybody's radar. This is the Vosteed Vombat. It has kind of a not super appealing name, but the knife is so well made. It's such a nice little knife, and it's got an M390 blade, and in this case, some really nice machined aluminum scales. Crossbar lock, but if you're familiar with Vosteed, they do some of the best crossbar locks in the market, and honestly, the whole knife is just extremely well designed. It kind of has that bug out aesthetic that we see. You know, every company has their own bug out. And it's for a good reason, because the actual bug out is so hilariously overpriced, and it doesn't really bring anything special to this, you know, this style. I feel like everybody has done the bug out better than Benchmade for less money. Now, this is a knife that's made in China, but it does feel, you know, like it's substantially higher quality. And the other cool thing is they offer different scales on their website. They sent me a few to give away, but I was like, well, I'd rather, you know, post a video about these as well. I'm going to review this too, but these are really cool. I think it's M390 aluminum, and then the liners, and then you can get the scales for, I think they're about $50. They come with the full, you know, the kit, the hardware, everything like that. So you have all this replaceable stuff. There's even some fun, you know, little optional colors in there that you get. But a really nice EDC knife, crossbar lock with nice, you know, kind of medium tension omega springs, very easy to manipulate for $139. Vosteed, if you've never checked out their website, if you go and check this link, look around. They make some of the best value knives ever. Their budget range, their high-end range, they're so good. And the Vombat is another example of them just doing exactly that. I think that that's a great price tag. I think it's a great knife, and I think many people probably don't even know that this exists. So where's the pivot, and how do you adjust it? You obviously have to take the scale off to adjust the pivot. That's so annoying. Actually, if you caught it right here, there's a little hole, and inside that hole, I mean, you can take the scale off, and there is like a visible, you know, pivot there. But removing the scales to, you know, replace them, obviously, that's super easy. But if you want to adjust the pivot, in this case, it's a T8, you simply put your bit in that hole there, and you can easily adjust it without having to remove the scale. I think that's kind of neat. Some people really don't care if you can see the scale or not. I think it actually adds to the aesthetic of this knife. I think that's really cool. Obviously, the custom scales have that hole as well. I don't mind seeing a little hole there. It's not even on the show side. Like that's a really cool way of doing that. Such a little tiny thing, but that's such a thing that knife people appreciate. And Vosteed is heavily tuned in to those types of little tiny things. So I think that is awesome. I think that is entirely a benefit. It doesn't change anything about the disassembly or the adjustment of the knife, like the maintenance of the knife. It just adds to the aesthetic. I think that is awesome. Go check it out, and if you want to pick up some additional scales, you can do that right there on the website. Next up is a knife that I know not many people know about, and I still need to do my review on this, but this is the Vortex Model 1 made by Tuya knife. This was a knife sent to me a while back from Tri-State, and to Tri-State, I appreciate it. I feel bad that I haven't done my review on this yet, but he sent this to me knowing that I would like it, and he was exactly right. This massive Hulk, I mean, it's not crazy overbuilt, but it's a big hulking monster here. S90V in titanium, and yes, it does come with a secondary detachable stop pin so that you can really double up on that locking system strength if you need it for whatever it is you're about to do. Beautiful ergonomics. You have a little slot here so that you can do the reverse flick if you want. S90V in titanium, big old boy. Big old honkin' boy. I don't know if these are still available. This video is simply to let people know that they exist, to make people aware of them. But I believe Tri-State said they were $225 and maybe down as low as $200 after discount. So anybody who knows, titanium, S90V, and where you're generally going to be comparing, that is a ridiculously good price tag, because generally speaking, what we get for just titanium and S90V at $200 is a pretty plain Jane design that's nowhere near as big as this. This is one of the better deals that I've heard of on the internet, just regarding premium knives, and I'm kind of shocked that it's that low. I would have assumed that they would have been closer to, $265, $275 with this guy, but this is an absolutely phenomenal product. Really, really cool. Like this one a lot. Moving on here, one that I just announced on my channel here recently. You guys probably saw this on Thursday. This is the Kunwu Gringo. But of course, it's not just any Gringo. No, this is a prototype Gringo with the new Kunwu Confession Lock. Oh boy. Yeah, that's on purpose wordplay there. Compression lock. That's a big deal. Why? Well, because the compression lock, obviously the patent has ended with Spyderco, so now people can use it. Now, in my opinion, a compression lock is superior in terms of reliability to liner locks and frame locks. They also allow you to keep your fingers completely and totally out of the cutting path while you are disengaging it. This is the first time that I have actually seen a compression lock created that mimics very closely to Spyderco's original compression lock. Typically what we see is button-operated compression locks, which are fine. They're really great. In fact, Vosteed does them. When people really like them, it really comes down to preference. But this bar here is engaging with the lock face the same way. Instead of being underneath, it actually engages and compresses in from the back, making the lock substantially more reliable in situations where the blade is kind of stuck and you're putting pressure on parts of the blade that you wouldn't normally put pressure on. Geometry obviously plays a huge role in this, but the lock and the way that it engages with the lock face make it far less likely to disengage under normal or even kind of outside normal parameter circumstances. This is something that I have been calling for a very long time. I know you guys are already screaming, where do I get that? Where do I get that? This is a prototype. It is a prototype. So soon, but not yet. Still though, if you're wondering, do I recommend Kunwu knives in general? Yeah, pretty much everything that they make. So you should still go check this out. The standard version of the Gringo is a frame lock, and it is absolutely wonderful. Obviously, they have crossbar locks and a number of other things. It's definitely worth checking out Kunwu knives in general, and I'll have them linked down in the description. But the confession lock is definitely something that is coming, and I wanted to make sure that you guys knew. If you missed that unboxing, I wanted to make sure that you knew that it existed, at least right now, in the form of a prototype Gringo, and it is wonderful. What's the little bar that's running right through that confession lock? That bar is there for stabilization, which I think is a really, really good idea. I don't think, like, for example, Spyderco knives have ever needed a stabilization bar, but it essentially keeps the lock. It mitigates how much that lock can actually move when it's engaged and there's pressure, for example, being put on the spine. That bar stabilizes that compression lock, and obviously it doesn't make it completely invulnerable to disengagement, but I think it does help. This is a fortification of the original Spyderco compression lock, and I think it's a good idea considering there are quite literally zero drawbacks to it being there. It's simply something that assists, or I don't know if augments is the exact word, but that's the first thing I noticed when I opened this up was that little bar, and I asked, is that stabilizing the compression lock? And they said, yes, that's exactly what it's doing. That's the intention there. I think that's a really cool idea, and I love that. I think that that's going to make Kunwu products, at least for a bit, until other people start copying them, it's going to make their compression lock superior, at least in, it would probably be a rare circumstance that you would need that additional strength, obviously, right? But it will make them, I think, a bit more popular. Moving on here, this is one that I unboxed. I'm not sure if everybody's seen it yet. I believe it's still available. If not, the base model is definitely still available. We got to talk about this Kizer Feeweed or Feeweed. And this, I mean, it's not official. It's obviously not officially licensed, but this is clearly meant to have a bit of a Stormtrooper theme going on here. And this knife is extremely cool. It's so cool. Kizer does a great job with their hyper polished DLC, and that's exactly what this is. This is not your standard satin DLC. I'll actually show you guys here a satin DLC on my own Excalibur, so that you can see the difference here. There's a satin DLC is plenty great, right? But this is a much higher polished DLC, actually a finish that I hope to eventually offer on my own Excalibur. But this is so beautiful, and I think it contrasts so beautifully with the, this is a Cerakote titanium. And then we also have these polished titanium inserts within this frame here. The model itself is really cool. It's just this particular setup is so nice. I love it. The little, I don't know if we want to call these like little kind of tetrahedron studs there, but it's a frame lock and it works so well. The model itself is nice. Kizer makes a great knife, and they always have a great price tag on this stuff. But this particular one I thought was really fun. And I looked around and saw that it seems like it's still available in a couple of places. So I wanted to make sure that people knew that it existed. I'm a big fan of this. I believe the blade steel on this one is LMAX, which is great. Definitely a premium blade steel. Definitely a nice knife. And it's one of those coatings, if you're, new, and you're like, what's so special about that, right? Those black coatings always wear away. They do when they're cheap or common, which is pretty much every single coating except for those in the DLC family or the diamond-like carbon family, which is exactly what this is. These coatings are far superior to even other coatings that are at the top of the quality spectrum when we're talking about basically anything that is black, right, or is coated in any way. The vast majority of that stuff is trash and will wear away. Stuff that's at the top of that spectrum that's not DLC is your Cerakote, which is actually what this white stuff is here, or your PVD, which is much better, but still nowhere near the same durability as DLC. This is hyper scratch resistant. I cannot imagine the amount of effort it would take in terms of use to actually wear this coating away. It is possible, but it takes so much more effort. So yeah, these coatings for good reason have become much more popular here in recent years. And I think it's great that, companies like Kizer are polishing them like this. They look so good and they're so functional, adding additional scratch resistant, obviously, and corrosion resistant, resistance to whatever composition they're added to. So very cool. And then finally, we didn't think this was going to happen. Tools for Gents reached out to me and said, I don't think it's going to happen. And I was like, man, that's a bummer. With all everything happening in the world, there was a lot of stuff that was looking like it was going to get canceled. And it didn't. You can actually buy the PMP Ultimate Alpha Beast if you want to. They are insanely expensive. These hulking beasts. This is factually the thickest production folding knife blade that has ever been. What about extreme ratio? What about cold steel? Oh, those are like literally their thickest blade is probably about half of this. This is absolutely enormous. Now, there have been some custom knives that have had thicker blades, but we're talking a production folding knife. Ridiculous. Why would anyone ever need that? It looks like it would be overly cumbersome, and the geometry is probably not optimized for any type of cutting. You are exactly right, and that is something that should be obvious to everyone simply by looking at this thing. The whole idea was not to create something that is pretending to offer some sort of extreme level of utility or durability, so that people will buy it. No, they quite literally created something that is obviously comical for people who are fully aware that it is obviously comical and want to have it anyway. And for that, I applaud, of course, PMP for doing this. I think that this is phenomenal. PMP Ultimate Alpha Beast. Let me give you a measurement, actually, of this blade. It's well over 400,000 because I own the original one. And I've also reviewed this knife if you want to check it out. But I'll link this at Tools for Gents so you guys can pick it up. It's 450,000, so that's nearly half an inch thick. It is monstrous. Let me go ahead and weigh it here for you so that you know where we're at for weight. Oh, wow, 1.44 pounds. It is huge. This will definitely be a difficult object to carry, and it is not convenient in any way. This is the original prototype, which I still have here with me. If you're wondering, does it feel cool to hold? Does it make you feel powerful? Yes, in the most cartoonishly childish way. This makes me feel just irrationally powerful. It is such a funny thing. Everybody that I have shown this to has thought that it was hilarious. My favorite person to pass this to is somebody who takes absurd pride into in some basic pocket knife. I actually have a lot of friends who will pride themselves on the most basic folding knives. And obviously there's nothing wrong with being proud of the folding knife that you're carrying, but there's a lot of like funny people out there who will assume some sort of sense of superiority over other people who carry knives because they are carrying, for example, a CRKT M16. This is a very funny object to hand people like that because they're not really sure what to do with it. The simplicity, like the emotional simplicity that is applied when people like that are taking pride in simple pocket knives is the same type of thing that resonates with knives that are just impossibly huge, right? And the reason is because there's a lack of understanding in what makes a knife great to begin with. So this type of object sort of is like divide by zero for people like that. And it's not like I'm passing this off to like be like, oh yeah, well check this out. Like it is, but it's more so just like the comical effect that it has, right? I mean, it ironically, you know, with it being the ultimate alpha beast, it does ironically have an emotional and mental effect on some people. And I think that it's just hilarious. I think that this is a hilarious object. You kind of have to understand what it is that you're buying. Like, I don't think anybody can buy this and not understand what it is. Mainly because of the category of thing that it exists in, the incredible niche within a niche, right, that it exists in, and also the price tag, which is ridiculous. I mean, you really have to want this thing if you want to buy it. But it is cool, and I own another one. I plan on keeping this one, assuming they're going to let me keep it. I have definitely used it to puncture a can, which was fun. I think that almost makes a better hammer than it does a knife, but it is certainly an amazing object, and I hope that companies continue to try to push the limit for ultra thick pocket knife blades because I think they're hilarious. They just make for really fun content, and everybody still loves these things, right? So once again, and yeah, I'll link this guy at Tools for Gents. PMP Ultimate Alpha Beast. We have the Kizer Feeweed. We have the prototype Kunwu Gringo compression lock. We have the Model 1 or the Vortex Model 1 made by Tuya. And then we have the little known, I feel like it's little known, Vosteed Vombat. Very, very cool. Check these out. They'll all be linked in the description. That's going to be it for today. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.